Okay, we're looking at a replay of AD Weakside King, I think is their name. Yeah, it is. The currently rank 1 or highest ranked Misfortune player in the world, actually, not just EU West, but in the world. Instantly ganking exactly what this build wants, actually. So Draven, of course, thrives in early chaos, but not with numbers disadvantage. Oh, huge flash. Okay, this Poppy is godlike. Anyway, this Misfortune player defies the meta. They're not going for first strike lethality, what actually most Misfortunes are doing nowadays, but instead they go for Dark Harvest and lethality. And I think it's a good choice. I'm not the biggest fan of first strike. I know it's popular right now and I know it does work, but it's just inconsistent from my experience. The idea, of course, is that you have this perfect match of Misfortune's 3 seconds ult duration and first strikes Misfortune does it channel for how many seconds? Yeah, for 3 seconds, exactly. 3 seconds ult duration, 3 seconds Youmuu's Ghostblade duration for the extra lethality, but also the 3 seconds of first strike. But, I mean, when you get your first strike knocked off, it's just super frustrating. And Dark Harvest is just way better for snowballing and everything. Oh, that's a nasty Bel'Veth invade, but blue team is ready for it. Yeah, everyone. Misfortune also instantly roamed. Great map awareness from AD Weakside King there. Yeah, so these early brawls are very nice when you have Dark Harvest, because you can just keep collecting Dark Harvest stacks and snowball that way. Also, one thing to note, we have seen a build like this before in the recent past from a Korean Misfortune main, who at the time was the rank 1 Misfortune main in the world. And he played the Dark Harvest lethality build with Precision secondary, so with Coup de Grace and Triumph for even better early game snowballing. But this player takes a kind of different approach, because, well, with the other version of the builds, we can't deny that you're kind of screwed when things don't go your way and when you do reach the late game without a sizable lead. So this person tried to counter that with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm, sacrificing some early game power in favor of great late game scaling, because Misfortune scales with attack damage so nicely, of course. And we can also see it in the build somewhat. Right now, huge power spike with Serrated Dirk. Serrated Dirk, the strongest component item you can have as an AD caster. As an AD champion in general, but AD casters are better off with lethality, because lethality also buffs the base damage of your spells, not just the scaling, as attack damage does. Leona is looking for something. Well, let's focus on this game here. So, as we can see right there, the wave is massive. They cannot fight here, even though they have an item advantage. They need to wait until the wave resets first. Says he, and then Leona instantly goes in. It's okay because it's only 4 minions at this point, and Misfortune has red buff. But generally speaking, you don't want to take... Look at all the minion aggro she takes. So this works because Serrated Dirk is so obscenely powerful, and because... Yeah, and because... red buff, you know. But Serrated Dirk power spike up... she dies too. Okay, that was really well played. But as you see, this was mostly minion damage. Minions mauled Misfortune here. It was kind of risky. But a good Leona engage, you can't really say no to that. However, ideally, well, when your support goes in, it's always a very, very fine line you need to thread. Because, well, either you help them and it works out and everything is great, or you help them and you both die, or you do nothing and they get tilted. It's always a little awkward. But in this situation, because it was only 4 minions, or only a 4 minions disadvantage in favor of the enemy team, it was fine here, considering the power spikes too. Draven was on Longsword and Misfortune was on Serrated Dirk. Now with an extra Corfeet's Warhammer, first item is going to be the Duskblade. Duskblade is the mythic item of choice for this player, and it's also understandable. Well, Ghostblade is fine. Most people still hang on to it because of, I don't know, habit, because once the AD carry item update hit, Ghostblade was extremely overpowered. It got nerfed since, and Duskblade got buffed. And in my opinion, for lethality Misfortune, Duskblade is actually better right now, because with Duskblade you have the bonus execute damage in all your spells, which of course includes Misfortune's ultimates and Misfortune's Q to major damage sources. Okay, Belveth in the jungle. Now it's, yeah, again awkward, but letting these minions go to waste is actually low-key worth it. But as you can see, she instantly returns to try and last hit because these people are not engaging. So MissFortune, yeah, focusing on her wave. It's I mean, I personally probably focus on these waves too much and try to brute force farm them even though a fight is there. But it's always a little awkward. If you go there and nothing happens, you just lose a full wave, then you're quite far behind all of a sudden. You want to avoid that, of course. But here, nice balance. Also a kind of easy balance to strike with MissFortune because of W, increasing your movement speed by 55. Okay, Poppy gank coming in. Leona with a flash engage. But Draven, I mean, this is like High Master elo, so these people know what they're doing. Of course, there are people in Challenger who also play MissFortune, but this is the highest ranked MissFortune main, who truly is committed to the champion. So this is why we're watching this player. Also, I think, in my opinion, you can see Challenger players on a champion that play the champion suboptimally, but make up for it with better general macro knowledge and gameplay stuff. So, or just having lucky games with a champion. That might also happen depending on how rarely they play them. So I would always advise you to learn from champion mains, because they truly know the ins and outs of the champion. So here, a nice little double up, queuing a minion that was still full health, so no crit, but also makes it less predictable, because the enemy will of course stay away from minions like this one, just so you can't just crit them, but they are most likely, or okay, beautiful. Leona MissFortune also great combo, she locks them down, you just press R and they die. But people pay attention when they play against this. Crazy dive. Leona probably dies there. Yeah, but again, kill for MissFortune, this is worth it, because Draven not only dies, it's always what happens after too. And what happens here is Draven is off the map, and these minions all go to waste, MissFortune gets a plating, so this is a way bigger advantage than just one kill. It's one kill plus a plating, minus for Draven all these minions, in terms of experience and in terms of gold. So, again, when people play against MissFortune, they always watch out for these low health minions, so they don't get crit by Q. But when you just Q a full health minion and let it bounce towards them, you still deal an auto attack worth of damage plus Q's base damage plus laugh tap. So it's always worth it, and people are less likely to dodge these Qs. So feel free to go for them. Of course, with this build, as you can see from the rune page, it's kind of awkward for mana management, because if you spam too many spells, you will run very quickly. But the trade-off is that you have so much damage. Okay, good catch. Again, Leona locks them down. MissFortune at this point actually low-key one-shotting them already. It's kind of crazy. She got a full Duskblade, dealt 70 bonus damage in that one fight, plus Pickaxe Longsword. So going for Collector next. Yeah, so this is not fully committing to lethality. This player does transition to more crit later on. Also sticking to tier 1 boots just for some movement speed, for some flexibility. Not wanting to waste too much money on stats that do not help your ultimate damage. But tier 1 boots, I mean, you can play this without any boots if you want to. But tier 1 boots is certainly a viable compromise. In any case, now enemy is in kind of an awkward spot. If they want to walk up to the wave, they would risk getting engaged on. However, this wave in particular is slow pushing towards them, so they have no chance. They better fast push to crash it, so they can use the lane priority to roam. As you can see, the minion wave is dead, and now the minions wander into tower. And they have free time, they can roam now. Can go towards Dragon, help there, while Draven is stuck under tower farming. So all good macro-wise. If the minion wave was in a position where you could freeze it, then going for it would be still okay-ish. But the later the game goes, we're already at 11 minutes, the later the game goes, the less valuable freezes will be, the less profit you will get from freezes, because freezing also allows the enemy to just roam with impunity. But yeah, now we crash the wave. Oh, what is this? The wave is cleared, but awkward. Yeah, MissFortune tried to... She still dies, doesn't she? No, she doesn't. MissFortune tried to catch her on the teleport, but she instantly dashed out of the ulti. Should have waited for... Okay, beautiful crit. Should have waited for Leona's lockdown. and only then press R, but I understand the thought process. It was a greedy play, didn't work out. Or actually, Q should kill. Q auto. Seraphine MVP, keeping Ahri alive against the odds. Yeah, that was a little awkward. MissFortune also now out of mana, using all her spells. So missing a spell, a big spell like ult especially, which costs a lot of mana, is super painful for this build, because you do have nothing once you're out of mana. You have all your auto attacks with little attack speed, tons of AD but little attack speed. And you can't even press W unless you have 50 or 45 mana. Yeah, so now she has to base because she's too weak without mana. Anyway, look at that purchase. Another serrated Dirk. And yeah, no full collector yet, but just Dirk plus Dustblade is a nice little power spike. Each Dirk is massive, right? But yeah, we do transition to more crit there for even better late game insurance. Again, the Korean player from a few patches back, honestly at this point probably a few months back, the Korean player who played this build fully committed to the lethality playstyle and went for items such as Cyrilda's Grudge even. But this player now transitions to more crit, which does, again, allow for a better late game scaling. Bel'Veth, again, caught. Yeah, MissFortune doesn't even need to do something there, but as you see, she's still moved. Just in case, because you cannot know how many people back up Bel'Veth from her jungle, from her side of the map. Alright, mid lane seems safe. So MissFortune's objective here is to take this tower as fast as possible, and then apply the push past River Rome strategy, which maximizes both her CS and her impact on the map. Switching love taps between minions and the tower. At this level, I think level 13 is where the love tap damage maxes out and matches a full auto attack's worth of damage. So you will lose a little bit of DPS by doing that, but of course you also reset your W cooldown, so you make up for that with this. Okay, this is greedy. This is definitely a greedy play. Staying there to push an extra wave. But MissFortune's kind of fed, so she might get away with it, yeah, but now finally she plays it safe, she goes base and gets her items to then enter a beautiful mid game. Okay, so bot lane is still pushed past river. Mid lane there's a fight, and mid lane is also the place to be, especially for MissFortune. Because the next big oh, just at the edge, unfortunate, but the next big objective to take is this. That was so greedy, but beautifully playing with a Dustblade invincibility. Of course it no longer procs on your ultimate, because it's a damage over... No, that's not the clause, right, implemented. It's when you... Wow, that Q crit was nasty. We do have Collector at this point. Anyway, so you can definitely make very bold plays with Dustblade's invincibility. So flash in, Q auto if you know the person dies, can be worth it. It's even safer in the mid game when you have the Triumph rune page, but with this rune page of course it works too, if you have your team surrounding you so they can peel. Dustblade passive is a little bit like a Zhonya's active, a zoning tool. So you enter this invincible state, and then your team can create a safety zone around you, or you can just walk backwards because you're not, unlike Zhonya's, you're not rooted to the place or to the spot. But again, this mid lane tower is the most important objective on the map right now. So MissFortune, okay, she does want to take red buff here. Blue buff also very nice for this build, because you, again, don't have any mana control. And yeah, this Dirk, I'm not sure why she bought it, probably for an instant power spike. Because typically you want Lord Doms right now for your next item. Yeah, okay. People just drop at this point. This build snowballs way too hard. In any case, mid lane tower, a juicy objective to take, but dragons on the map too, of course. Yeah, MissFortune completely taking over now. These mid-game fights with Dark Harvest resets, with Dustblade, invincibility in team fights for repositioning and safety, it's really explosive. Once you get the ball rolling, you just close out games so quickly, even against high elo opponents. Anyway, this cloak probably goes... Okay, Ruby Crystal plus Serrated Dirk, so she wants Edge of Night, it seems. Which is also fine, gives you more safety, and... Okay, nice angle. Taking a couple tower shots there, but definitely a gamble that paid off. And now you need to run though, because you don't have lifesteal yet. Might still be too late. Yeah, okay, a little greedy, and Ahri gets 1,000 gold there. That's unfortunate. And actually, Misfortune's death was kind of an opening for them, right? What are they doing? Okay, they did not pressure Herald with this. But still, that's a lot of gold for the enemy team. 1,000 gold shutdown. But now Misfortune finished her Edge of Night, so this player likes to go Edge of Night third in some matchups. I personally would only recommend it in matchups where you would be vulnerable to enemy, well, to not point and click spells, but rather to enemy AoE skill shots, for example Malphite ultimates or Leona ultimate. Because you can't ult when the enemy holds onto their spell. You ult, they ult you right back, but with Spell Shield you can. However, this Misfortune still went Edge of Night, probably just for safety to hopefully not feed away another shutdown. Still worth 850 gold, should they die again. Well, Seraphine's also kind of nasty. When you ult, she can ult, but yeah, mainly the health and the spell sheet for random engaged spells that might hit you, like Ahri Charm, for example. This wave's way past River. Staying there is so risky. She should just go back and rejoin her team. Maybe she wants to bait. Looking at this, but it is still risky. Okay, there's the flank. Misfortune now needs to run in. Is that an ult angle? Okay, couldn't ult there, but just the Q autos does the trick as well. It's so much burst damage, it's incredible. Yeah, so getting denied your ult angle always feels bad, but you're not relying on your ult fully, especially with crit. Ult scales hardly with crit, very little, but your auto attacks with all that AD, quite nice when you have critical strike behind it. Okay, they just disperse. Yeah, but you can do a lot with just Q auto. And enemy just makes tilt plays at this point. Two teammates were dead, Vayne still went in over nothing. But yeah, with this build, the rank 1 player also likes to do is go Bloodthirster in the late game. Because not only is it a lot of attack damage, but also a much needed source of lifesteal. No lifesteal in the late game is kind of tough to play on AD carry. You can't even really DPS Baron without lifesteal, because you just take so much damage from this monster. But yeah, now we finally do see the Lord Doms. Slight anti-synergy with the health from Edge of Night, but still very much worth it. And I mean, in this matchup, Lord Doms is not even necessarily best, because, well, the only difference to Mortar Reminder is the unique passive, and I think they don't have big tanks, and Seraphine heals a lot. Draven has lifesteal. Vayne probably goes for lifesteal eventually, in addition to what she has in her runes. So the healing reduction would probably be better than the Giant Slayer. And this is what I mean. Misfortune already taking damage from Baron. You also need to dodge Baron's abilities very carefully, because you will lose your spell shield if you're not careful. Baron can break your spell shield. Okay, but it should go down. Okay. Kinda risky in my opinion, but if it works, it works. So now, you want to crack open the map. And the easiest tower to take here is this top lane tower, of course, because it's the farthest away from the enemy base, which makes it hardest to defend for the enemy. And yeah, that's exactly what Nico is doing. The rest of the team still idling mid lane, waiting for Dragon to spawn, I assume. In the meantime, Misfortune takes a red buff. And now we get an Infernal on top of everything. So, with a build that stacks attack damage that much, already at 347, with all that lethality and armor penetration, you will hurt a lot with your build. Oh, Baron, something expired there. Oh no, 347 to 365. Yeah, I twisted the numbers in my head for some reason. But again, easy siege with Baron. Do we see an ult? Beautiful. That was just deletion. Look at Dustblade. How much damage did we deal? 1,800 with Dustblade. For comparison, can we see how much damage the enemies did with their keystones? Can we see that? Ahri 1,000 with Electrocute, for example. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's already enough said, I would assume. Almost twice the damage compared to the enemy mid laner's Keystone with just Duskblade. Yeah, this build, super explosive. Let me know what you think, and for more AD carry knowledge, for more, if you want to improve your game further, click the link on your screen.